My parents used to say they could tell when I was actually sick because I'd be so much lower energy that I'd be a much more manageable child. That's kind of how I feel today, where it's just like, ugh, there's nothing going on in here. I'm a husk.
Yeah.
I'm an empty husk.
Hey, that dude, sick is sick. You just got to fight through it. If you're going to make content, I get that. This is your moment also to back out if you just want to go to fucking sleep.
Fire it, dude.
Should probably apologize for the last couple of clips that it chose for the pre-intro.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
Yeah.
You're doing this just so you can farm another clip to put on the pre-intro. I know what this is. You're not like, I'm not actually apologizing. No, this is clip farming. You're gonna put this in black and white, and you're gonna be like, brrr.
So close, but no. This is the other cold open. This is me saying, as a part of the podcast itself, because I already got what I needed. They already heard it, but it's just a matter of me saying, I like our pre-conversations. Every now and then I find something golden, and I just try to have fun with it because I like editing. And
yeah,
I don't know.
Sure, that's one way to describe hanging me out to dry. I mean,
basic.
I think, yeah.
You just haven't figured out how to pull. You haven't figured out how to pull that out of me yet, though.
Well, I think it's really just indicative of me being a better person, human, content creator, all of those things than you, that I am so open and willing to give of myself in this way, and you are not. And I think that what I'm really getting at is I need you to say something embarrassing or I'm quitting the podcast.
As of 3 weeks ago, I was 300 pounds and had to put my shorts on and keep them closed using a paperclip because I couldn't get the button to close.
All right, I'm back in. All right, you got me. You got me. We're back. Let's go.
There we go. Welcome back to the Marvel Snapcast, where we talk about my fat ass, apparently. There is
well, sometimes we talk about my fat ass.
Yeah, I mean, this is true. Every now and then we'll kind of dive into there. But the thing I want to dive into today.
Oh, we'll dive into there? We'll dive into there? That's what we're gonna do?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, take a shot in there, if you will. I'm gonna say, full on GLP. I'm gonna talk about what we're actually going to dive into.
I take the pills.
You take the pills?
I don't.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not a needle guy. I can't do that.
Huh.
I
did not expect that.
My God. Yeah, no way. I feel like people half the reason you're like, oh, I didn't expect it because you're like, oh, you're a gym guy. You probably tried steroids. Hell no.
No.
Never.
No offense, KM. I never thought you did steroids. Never thought that.
Damn.
Sorry.
Well, that's embarrassing for me. But still,
okay.
I don't fuck with needles. It's not a thing I enjoy.
Learn something new every day, I guess. All right. But I don't have a segue out of that one, so I'm just going to go right into Star-Lord.
Yeah,
because
you just cut it and put it in black and white and add the Vine boom sound effect on it or something.
We're way past that. We're at Star-Lord because Star-Lord, I'm not going to lie. I was going into the season, I'm unfortunately on record of not being really super wowed about the card conceptually. I was kind of like, maybe this is going to be okay. There's going to be the Man Spider deck, which seems obvious. And then I don't know. And the past couple of days, I think the way I feel the Marvel Snap community, it always handles every season pass is they overplay it, right? They try to min-max everything about the season pass in the first 2 to 3 days, and then it starts to fizzle a little bit. And I think we're maybe finally starting to get there because I feel like all I saw was Star-Lord into either the Man Spider deck or the combo of Abs, Grandmaster, etc. Go 14, 18. Chaos amounts of power. I had a game of 42 cost power to work with on the final turn with some Zola shenanigans.
You mean energy?
energy, whatever the hell those things are called, the little blue shiny things. Yeah, those things. Cost power thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Those yep. Whatever they are.
Yep. Cost power.
Yes.
Cost power.
It's just combining them. Yeah, it's cost power. Absolutely. It's exactly it, right?
Yeah, we Marvel Snap only has 2 numbers on every card. What if they only had 1 number on every card? A combined cost power. We've distilled the game down to its bare essentials.
Yes, cower.
Where we're actually just playing war.
God, I miss those days.
We're actually just doing
Real
that
simple.
now.
Higher, lower. Damn it. I do miss those days. But Star-Lord, the way I kind of went about it, at least in my initial testing, was I'm going to min-max it. And it was fun. I mean, it worked in the decks that I feel like I expected it to work in. But I haven't seen enough experimentation outside of that, where I know there's a lot of conversation saying that Wiccan is dead because this card now exists. And I might...
Wiccan was dead 6 months ago.
No, like he at least had one hand sticking out of the ground. Now that hand's been broken off.
No, he didn't.
He had
no,
one.
He didn't.
He absolutely...
Blaming this card for Wiccan being dead is insane. I'm sorry. It's crazy. That's crazy talk. That's like...
No.
That's like these are 2 totally different cards. This card does nothing even related to Wiccan. Wiccan is like this tech generic good cards deck. This is closer to Mr. Negative than it is to Wiccan. That's what this deck actually plays like. You play this on 4, and then you play Ab's Grandmaster. That's what this deck actually is. It's Mr. Negative. This is not even close to Wiccan. That is whoever is saying that, and I'm not saying this is you, because I don't believe you're saying that, but whoever is saying that, fundamental misunderstanding of what Wiccan is. They're just looking at like similar characteristics and seeing that this one is better. And it's like, oh, well, these are both cards that give energy, so it killed Wiccan. No! They're 2 totally different cards. These are not the same. People do this shit all the time. They do it all the time. Whenever there's a card that's like superficially similar, they'll note the superficial similarity. You saw this with Sholau, right? Oh, it says +3. You can't put +3 on a card? Oh my God, you can't do that, except for all the times when you can, like Morgan Le Fay and Cerebro. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. People notice a superficial similarity and then extrapolate it into a completely incorrect take. This card goes in 0 decks that Wiccan was going in. In no way does it compete with or replace with Wiccan. In as much as this card interacts with Wiccan, it interacts with Wiccan in the same way any combo deck does, which is to say, you lose if you're playing a Wiccan deck, because that's what Wiccan decks do when they have to play combo. There is nothing these cards have in common other than costing 4 and relating to energy. Genuinely. It is... I hate that take. I hate it. If you have that take and you're listening to this, I want you to go home and rethink your life. Like the guy trying to sell death sticks to Obi-Wan Kenobi in episode 2. All right? You no longer think this. You're going to go home and rethink your life. That is my Jedi mind trick on you. I implore you to take it.
First off, I'm surprised you are as loud as you are about this. Not in the sense of vocally,
right, because I'm sick.
No, not even that sense.
No. Like coming into this podcast, it's like, oh, I'm sick. I won't have a lot of energy. But you show me a bad take and I'm yelling.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Loud as in the take on it, because these are those moments that I'm so glad you're here, because I feel like I get the moment to remind you and humble you slightly and remember that there is another 95% of Marvel Snap out there that doesn't see what you see. You see the full deck creation, right? You see what Wiccan's enabling and why it fits into that very specific archetype and what you're trying to do end game and going through the step by step in the deck construction. What the common player sees is, I see a card that costs 4, that has an easier condition to get me extra energy 2 and sometimes more. And the understanding and the difference of that for the KM Best of the world versus John Doe of Marvel Snap are very different interpretations very often. And I don't mean this in the sense of saying that the Marvel Snap community is dumb. That's not what I'm saying. But the full construction of how you're analyzing when to use a Wiccan card and when to use this card are very different. because a lot of people look at their deck construction and say, okay, let me look at a Wiccan deck, take out the Quicksilver, maybe Dominoes in there, and Wiccan, and try the Star-Lord line instead. And they see the end result. But you understand why, and there's a very big difference, and I think a lot of people need to understand that difference.
Did anyone actually do that? Let me take out like the deck predicated on curving out with the card that's predicated on not curving out. I don't think anyone did that. I don't know. Like, to me, it felt like pretty early on, people figured out what this card was, and they were like, I'm going to play it and then I'm going to duplicate it. Which, if you want to talk about something going wrong in Marvel Snap, I think duplication creep might be a thing to take a look at.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you. But
there's a lot of like, I've got a V hand, let me frigate it. Let me moon girl it. Oh, I've got a Sholau, let me double the buff. Oh, I've got this guy, let me double it. Let me triple it. Let me just do all that. And it's like, it feels like every deck is kind of that.
I also think that it's worth noting that there are basically two different play lines and two different deck constructions with this card. There's, I want to play this on 4 and do all the ramp crazy duplication shenanigans on 5. Or there's the I'm playing this on 5 with 1 energy extra to do something else with, right? And they're two different completely game plans. That wasn't English, but you know what I meant. So
yeah. Okay, so there's two things. The first thing is, when you did that whole thing, you were like, I'm going to humble you. But it sounds like what you actually said was, KM, you're just so smart and everyone else is just so dumb. I don't feel humble coming out of that. The second thing is, I think that the problem you run into is that every time you play one of the Star-Lord on 5 decks and you run up against one of the Star-Lord Abs Grandmaster decks, you just instantly get your shit kicked in. Like, it is, it is really bad.
I'm gonna say that it's gonna be dependent on where you're playing the deck, as in rank, because a lot of players that are not climbing past 70 or maybe never got there for the first time recently or whatever, they might look at a high evolutionary deck, which is going to perform very well pre-infinite, but post-infinite won't. But then you look at a lot of the newer constructions.
I think that's a fake distinction. Pre-infinite, post-infinite, that's a fake distinction. It's entirely fake. The only difference between pre-infinite and post-infinite in terms of the matchmaking you're going to get is that there are bots in it. So if we're just going to say that this deck is good at beating bots, I think we can say that this deck is good at beating bots. But couching it in pre-infinite versus post-infinite, like they're different metagames, when you're being match made by the same thing, whether or not you're rank 99, rank 70, or rank 100, I just don't think that's a meaningful way to discuss anything.
Oh, I like having this conversation. So I'm going to disagree with you, because even though you might be playing against, let's say, there's person A and person B, and I understand obviously with the MMR that if you're close, no matter where you are in rank, whether you're 30 away or 2 away in rank, your MMR is more likely to pair you against next to that person. I understand that portion of it.
Correct.
As they transition upward into infinite, the matchmaking is focused on MMR, but the ranges are different.
In what way are the ranges different?
The range in how far your MMR reaches to get you a pair versus getting into a bot. So there is the bot play. Sure, I concede that. I'm not worried about the bot conversation. I'm talking about the player conversation. I'm talking about the pool of players in which you are working from.
In what way is that restricted post-infinite?
The range of how far MMR reaches down, or up, I should say, depending on how long you're waiting in the queue, that changes versus when you're pre-infinite, where there's that timeout because you have a bot backup plan.
I don't know about you, but my understanding is that the fallback bots are honestly quite rare. Like, I don't know about you. Maybe your experience was different, but I have almost never actually gotten a bot when I've waited a long time in the queue. That's always when it's going to give me a human. Whenever I seem to get a bot, it matchmakes quite quickly. I don't know if
more
that's just
often
like
than not. I'd agree with that. Yeah.
high MMR, or again, I can't speak to everyone else. But I don't actually think there's a meaningful difference. Like, on average, you're being match made with basically the same people. And I think that the idea that somehow, because the number is visible now, there is a meaningful difference in matchmaking. If anything, the difference is that there are potentially slightly less restrictions post-infinite. Potentially, in the sense that, like, your pool pre-infinite is plus or minus 30, right? And then your MMR within that plus or minus 30 range. But I would imagine that plus or minus 30 is a wide enough band that it is not meaningfully interacting with probably like 95% of matchmaking scenarios, which are done just based off MMR and CL, like everything post-infinite anyway. The whole problem with the idea of pre-infinite is that there is no pre-infinite. It's the same system. There's just a different number on it. When I play pre-infinite, I was rank 73 or whatever, playing against Honifer and Roram and Smiz, and these guys are in the top 10. It's the same people. And while it's more pronounced at the top end of the ladder because we all know each other and can recognize it happening, when you're pre-infinite, you're still playing against a lot of the same people that you'd be playing against if you get to infinite.
So
I think...
Go ahead.
I think the idea that there's a meaningfully different pre-infinite pocket meta or something along those lines is just sort of convey. We talked about this last episode, right? Like the idea that your 90s are my 90s,
right?
That thing, right?
Right. A bit.
It's conveying information that I think sounds good, but is ultimately, I don't know, astrology. Like, it's like doing a horoscope. It like no diss if like that is your belief system or anything like that, but that is fairly similar to what's going on. It's this belief in something outside of your control that is opaque, that determines your results, that you need to do these sort of vague ritualistic things in order to appease. I don't buy it. I don't think there's any reason to believe differently. In fact, when I climb now, my methodology is that I just pretend I'm in infinite. Because I'm just playing the same people. And my wins are going to count for my SP, and my losses are going to count for my SP. So I just play the exact same.
Yeah.
There is no difference for me between, and then there shouldn't be for you. If you're ever hitting infinite, pre-infinite ladder is post-infinite ladder. All of your wins against people will change your SP when you come in. All of your losses against people will change your SP when you come in. It's all one number. There's just a bunch of other numbers that are slapped on top of it like a sticker, but it's all the same number.
So you're saying that all the top players are just overplaying or in the first 24 hours to hit their 24-hour infinite because they're 8-cubing bots and 50-50ing everybody else.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. As someone who's done a lot of that.
Yeah, no,
That's what the infinite climb is. And for the record, bots don't seem to count for your SP. So win or lose against them, as long as you're going to hit infinite, it actually doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
that sounds
so the only thing that actually matters on your climb to infinite is the people. That's it. That'll affect where you come in.
Right.
That's the only thing that actually matters. The bots are just a way to make it faster or slower or whatever, right?
You know,
but it's only the people that matter.
You know what would help this entire situation? For this entire conversation?
Transparency about how this works. Yeah. But I don't think you want that for your business, right?
I mean,
the reason they have these numbers on there is to incentivize people to play. No, but like the reason they have these numbers on there is because it's a proven way to incentivize people to play. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why they have these little fake numbers on there, because people like to see their number go up. And so they made a system that makes it easy to see their number go up, even if the hidden number isn't actually going up.
Remember when we talked about Star-Lord?
No.
So I'm gonna just
I honestly think that like this podcast has been so contentious that people are gonna think we're actually mad at each other, and I feel like we need to clarify that we're not.
Not at all. No,
we are very fine right now. I just worry that like like people like the gag I did about quitting and us yelling at each other about this.
Yeah.
Like that's the show. Relax, chill.
Yeah.
But like,
I've worked with
I
you.
do worry that like this is kind of a new thing in the space where it's like we're willing to be antagonistic in this way, and so I do feel God, it's worth clarifying.
I mean, you and Husky kind of have that relationship though. To be honest, like you like to poke each other's buttons a lot. So I think that's close.
It is. But mostly it's just me asking him to like name a rapper. Like that's mostly how it goes. And then him being like, I won't listen to anyone who's ranked lower than me. And then me being like, I won't listen to anyone who's ranked lower than me. That's mostly the limits there.
Okay.
But yeah, I do think it's important to clarify this.
Yes.
We are doing something of a debate show. Please don't read into it.
Yeah. No.
Thank you.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be continuing to do a debate show. Like it's amazing how people can misunderstand that sometimes. But I've worked with you long enough.
It's hard, and it's important to break kayfabe a couple times, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So if I remember correctly from past conversations, you were going into this season with this being like a 4-star card.
I had it roughly as a 4. It might be a 5. This dude's a freak of nature, dude. Like, I don't like him. Every Star-Lord mirror is the worst shit I've ever played in my life. Because your whole deck is like, let me multiply this Star-Lord. So if you don't draw the Star-Lord and your opponent draws the Star-Lord, it doesn't matter how smart you were. It doesn't matter that you were like, oh, I'm going to tech for the mirror with like Eliath and Zola or Red Hulk and things like that. It doesn't matter that you're built for the mirror if you don't do the thing. That's only there to make you win when both of you do the thing. And if you like, there's a lot of like, oh, my opponent did this and I'm super out now.
Yeah,
that's real.
It's weird.
I don't like this guy. I had a horrible time trying to climb. I was like, these mirrors suck. Now, granted, I was playing on my phone on a hot location. Maybe I brought that on myself. Maybe my horrible time was self-inflicted. That hot location was Castle Blackstone, maybe the worst hot location of the entire game. Again, it could be on me. But I definitely soured my opinion of this man.
I think we're going to end up, unfortunately, because of this man, I think that we're going to end up in a really, really stale meta very quickly. I think that we're all just going to get overtired of the same mirror matches of who's got the bigger energy number going into turn 6. If it's not you run. And that's what I'm fearing is going to happen.
So, like, in theory, you're supposed to be able to counterplay this card with things like Supergiant. And I think Supergiant's pretty good into it. Don't get me wrong. I think Supergiant's a good deck anyway, and it's, like, pretty good into this. The problem is, if they play it on turn 4, you're still, like, that's an 8 energy turn 5. It's a Supergiant deck. You might just lose to that. There's definitely some stuff where it's like, you Supergiant. As soon as they know you're Supergiant, they're just like, all right, well, I'm playing them on turn 4. Then they skipped on 1 through 3. They have energy 5 that's like a Hulk and something else, and you're like, ah, shit, that Hulk's bigger than my Ronin.
Well, that's why I think that personally, Supergiant is actually not the best tech card right now for this meta. I think the best tech card for this meta is actually Magic. I think Magic on 5 may end up being a stronger play long term because it allows your opponent to do their move. That's fine. And then you end up in that position to do the tech thing, do the counter thing that you want to do. So you can Electra the Jim Hammond, you can Shang-Chi the Fing Fang Foom, or the Man Spider, or the Shadow King this, or I'm expecting something of that nature to be a counter in that build, because I do agree that right now the like Master Mold style, Ronin, Supergiant style deck, that is probably the best way overall. But I want to figure out, instead of Scarlet Witch in that deck, I want to try putting Magic in that deck, because I think that it's actually a stronger play for counter. Just to pull their
Cable and
Star-Lord.
I was on Cable and Copycat for the exact same reason, basically.
Okay. try and steal their
Where
stuff
it's
for
just
cheaper.
like, what I really want to do is just be like, it's not about like actually taking their stuff. It's just knowing what their range is.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a lot of the threat of these decks. That you're like, oh, they have 17 power, they have 17 energy. They're going to play a bunch of big shit. But if you know they don't have like a Fin Fang Foom or a Hulk, they actually just don't have anything else. Like some of them do. Like some of them are like Alioth, Zola, the really big ones will have stuff other than that. But a lot of the more normal ones are like, there's kind of only 2 cards in this deck that make points. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not nothing.
It's oddly to this weird point in Marvel Snap that I'm surprised we aren't seeing more counterplay with White Queen, because so many people are automatically running Fin Fang Foom right now, and it's a guaranteed hit just to have it in your hand. So instead of risking and using your draw there, you're getting 5 power down on the board, still allowing it to be even on curve. That's fine. I think it's a almost guaranteed way right now in that very limited space for a very limited time until we figure out the proper counters to this current meta. I think that it's oddly something to consider, which is a rare sentence.
What deck?
I'm not sure. I'm just talking cards. I'm talking as ways to think about looking at like, the meta.
You got to talk context though, right? Because like what deck is going to want a Fin Fang Foom that isn't this deck? So what you're suggesting
Victoria
fundamentally is I want Fin Fang Foom. I want we can't play it. The card costs 7.
Yeah, true. Yeah, no, there's no ramp.
Like you see the problem, right? Like when you do this, you have to be a deck that is able to play the dude, right? And so you end up like
think more about it. Yeah.
You put it in for the mirror, but nothing actually matters in the mirror except the Star-Lord stuff, and she's not getting you that. Yeah. So, like, what are we doing, right? Like, maybe you're supposed to play Cable and Copycat. Maybe that's what you're supposed to be doing. But Cable will probably draw you closer, and if they don't have the Copycat hits the Star-Lord, well, it's on the bottom, so that gives you a free snap. You know they are not going to be able to do the thing, but that's about it. And so, it's a weird situation, I would say, in terms of this deck is so new and it does some very strong things. And whether those be the form of like, Fin Fang Foom, absorbing man the Fin Fang Foom, that's sick as hell. Or Fin Fang Foom and a Hulk, or Man Spider combo deck with a Fin Fang Foom. I'm really mentioning Fin Fang Foom a lot. That guy's a beast.
Yeah.
That guy's a goat.
Yeah.
My God. But
I knew he was good, but like I wasn't expecting him to be that good.
There is a degree to which I think the thing that's allowing this deck to be as good as it is are output cards like Fin Fang Foom and Man Spider, where if it was just playing 20 power Hulks, that's one thing. But Fin Fang Foom being what he is allowing this deck to have 40 power in locations off of this guy. If that's the big thing here, is he's taking... Like, this card takes the early game of Marvel Snap and says, actually, that didn't happen. Remember when this happened? It didn't. Yeah. It didn't happen. Remember when you, like, put a lot of effort into this and stacked up your scaler? It didn't. He's, like, almost a Shang-Chi. Like, that's kind of what he's like. He's an invalidator. And if you ask me what the biggest culprits of Star-Lord are, you could point at Star-Lord, you could point at Grandmaster, you could point at Absman. I point at Fin Fang Foom. And I point at Man Spider.
I could see that if by the end of this season, if Fin Fang Foom is still as generally oppressive as he is, especially in just overall gameplay, I could see Second Dinner taking the blob treatment on him and putting a cap on how much power he gains, like maximum 24.
I consider this guy nerfable.
Yeah.
That sounds super reasonable to me. Like, genuinely, that sounds super reasonable to me. Oh, yeah, my guy's only 24 power. Chill. Like, I would do that now. That is where I'm at with this guy. And I like playing this guy. My video on Fin Fang Foom was called I Love Fin Fang Foom. Like, I don't want to understate it. This guy's like my favorite card they've made in 6 months, but I am not blind. He is a problem.
Yeah, he is incredibly strong. And just like you said, the ceilings that are coming from Man Spider and Fin Fang Foom, now with this extra enabler of Star-Lord.
Yep.
and there's so many different ways that are allowing a billion energy to work with on the final turn. Like the fact that people have to actually reconsider Stardust again because people can do the Hela trick and get both MODOK and Hela down on the final turn without risk. Like, that's scary. I just don't. I think that we're at a point
you think they
where
should unnerf Shang-Chi?
How dare you? How dare you say that?
I think it's a good idea.
I'm still on the 3-1 train.
Idea.
I'm still on the 3-1 train. Maybe 3-2, but
I think they should unnerf Shang-Chi.
That might have just become the title of the podcast. I think I disagree with you. But
It's just like I can't help but notice that this shit wasn't happening when we had Shang-Chi around. I can't help but notice that people weren't doing shit like this when you were like, you know, Fenris Wolf, their giant dude back at them. I can't help but notice.
I think the problem with it specifically, though, is Fin Fang Foom more than Man Spider, because Man Spider is still a deck that you could counter with Shadow King at 3 cost. And that's a whole different feeling than whiffing with a Shang-Chi. And Fin Fang Foom, even if you Shadow King it's still 12 power.
Sure is.
Yeah. So I don't say unnerf Shang-Chi.
So is that you agreeing?
No, I'm
you agreeing? Are you
no,
saying...
No, you're not getting me on that train. Absolutely not. No. That's a hot take, and that can stay on your own content. You keep that one. I don't want that one. No. I'll give it a week. I'll give it a month. That's fine. I do not want that.
We'll get you there.
Okay. What I do want is I do want to talk about Moondragon, because Moondragon, honestly, she surprised me. I expected her to be worse than she was, to be honest. I was expecting Moondragon to just kind of be like a meh inclusion in some of the decks, like Ramp, for example. And I honestly ended up liking it better than having Ebony Maw, for example. I think that it is a meaningful upgrade to the deck and allowed me to kind of
mess. It's a good ass card.
Yeah, I was messing around with some fun stuff with that. Like, what is it? Like I was doing a ramp style build.
I'll tell you.
With Chamber, and then also throwing in Doom 2099 and Doctor Doom as another play line, and then Dragon Lord and Fin Fang Foom. And I had the ramp ability still in there, and it was doing well. It has like a 65% win rate. And I was trying things just to see if I could get that progression to still work. And it, honestly, the amount of power that she gets is notable for another 2-drop. And if your deck is built in that line, it absolutely does have value, but it's a very limited use case.
Yep. She's like Morbius. You don't really play Morbius in a deck that isn't going to turn Morbius on. That's basically what she is. True.
Yeah, I think she's okay. You know, I'll give her, you know, you get her down on 2. I mean, yeah, she can absolutely be a 4-star feeling card for a 2-cost value. But I think in general, I'll stick her at around like 3-ish, you know, 2.75. Like, I feel weird saying 3 stars for her, but like
what I said, pre-release, baby.
Yeah, she's okay. Like, it's not a card I regret having. It's a card that does present options in the deck. I don't need to have it. Like, if you miss this card and you still want to play those decks, you're going to be able to. It's not a core staple, but
see, I kind of think that you're not going to be able to. If you're going to play Doom 2099 and you don't have this card, like, I kind of think you're screwed.
Maybe for Doom 2099 decks in particular, I might agree with you there. Yeah, you kind of really need that extra oomph early on, specifically.
Yeah, I will tell you this much about her. I believe in her enough that I bought or I am currently, as I'm recording, buying the Vincenzo variant of her for $20, which is not nearly as indicative as you might want it to be, because I think I have every Vincenzo in the entire game. So it's not nearly as indicative of my belief in this card as it otherwise would be, but it is gorgeous.
It is. I'll give you that. It is a gorgeous variant.
And if I can play it in ramp, and hopefully ramp ends up like a playable deck, which I don't know. I'm really not sure about that one right now, given
the Star-Lord
all
shenanigans.
Of this.
Yeah.
But like, there's a world where you're like, I don't know, functionally capable of like ramping into Galactus Fin Fang or something. Like maybe that's how ramp has to adjust. I don't know, but it is. If I could play it in ramp, I like the card. That's basically like the extent of my analysis.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm simultaneously going to ask you just briefly, because I know you don't want to talk about it probably too long, because I don't think either of us,
butt cheeks.
Any of us really want to talk about Magus, whatever his name is.
I'll tell you what Magus is doing right now. He's causing Big Baby to shit post all over my like chat room, where I have like a chat room where like a bunch of my friends hang out, and Big Baby's just like, yo, I'm crushing with Magus. I'm crushing with Magus. I'm absolutely beating ass with Magus. And like every time Big Baby does this, it's like he's just a really good player and the deck is ass. Like it's one of those. Like there are certain players. Derek's another one where he'll post a list and he'll be like, that is not something anyone else should be playing. And Big Baby's high up there on that list. Butt is high up there on that list.
Yeah.
And that's definitely like the kind of thing that you'll see.
No.
Yeah.
I
don't know. I think that there's maybe something to do with this in Moon Girl combo, where you want to have like a big ass 5 in the deck, like a Devil Dinosaur or an Iron Man, and then you're already skipping on 5. And it's like, okay, this is actually meaningfully additive.
Yeah.
Outside of that use case, I just really haven't seen much for the guy.
I'll present you one use case that I had 50% win rate with, and that's it, because I didn't lose, but when Magus did his thing, it actually did help the deck. And that was end of turn. End of turn, which sounds wrong and weird because it plays a lot of on reveals at 3 cost and a lot of activates at 3 cost, but simultaneously it's also running something like Jocasta. So it will reactivate the activate ability that Magus takes on. So if he takes on Invisible Woman first steps and Jocasta's in the lane, Jocasta does activate Magus as Invisible Woman first steps.
Sure.
So it's kind of like...
And you can Prodigy a Magus as Invisible Woman first steps too.
Yes. So you can manipulate getting around that problem of the activate by using the Jocasta line. And more often than not, like one of the games, I think Magus was up to like 40 something power because he turned into Athena. So he could him turning into Athena, Havoc, Sunspot, like those are your really easy options. And it's a great way to kind of catch up if you don't get those those power players that you're going to need later on in the game, and you don't draw them. Okay, well, you've got your float right. Go ahead and activate on the final turn. Boom, you put down your 2 cards, you make your things happen because you know what's in the deck. But 100%, this is a deck tracker card. You absolutely need a deck tracker because you're gonna forget. And that was the only use case I felt like he was doing something kind of okay, where I wasn't like feeling absolutely detrimental. Like, why are we doing this right now? It was a great start.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's probably something way more refined than my attempt at deck building on this one, but it worked.
I would guess instinctively that you want to cut Marvel Boy because it pollutes your 3s too much. But other than that, I think
quite the contrary. Quite the contrary, because it was a guaranteed ability for him to grab very often. Because I've already got all my other 3s, and then he's the last 3 that's triggering. And it's something that's triggering multiple times because I spent the whole game activating, setting up Invisible Woman, Jocasta, Magus, and all of a sudden...
I get it. I'm just looking at a deck with 5 3s, and I'm like, man, I wish that was like a Cosmo. Like, I wish
Yeah.
I could.
Oh,
I wish
no.
I could like interact with my opponent
That I can get. That I can absolutely support.
like an ice man. I don't know, just something.
Yeah, but the idea of this was the closest I was able to find without me feeling like, what is this card doing? Like, even people who were trying, I know some people were trying the skip on 5, turn it into Sarah, and use it as a backup plan for ongoing, or use it as a backup
Several
plan
question
for
marks,
living
lose game.
tribunal. Exactly. Like, it's just such a hurdle card, which is the big problem. It's such a hurdle card.
They've finally done it. They've released the bad 3/5. This stat line is no longer the keyword to a card being good. It's finally over. We had a good run, 3/5ers. We had a good run.
That's fair. He's just bad. And it's sad because like it's a cool concept that they're really branched out on, of like trying to get something based on unspent energy, and like there's something there. I just don't. I would have liked this a lot better if it was cumulative throughout the amount of unspent energy throughout the game.
I dislike that greatly.
I think it would have had a lot more flavor to it, because then, like, that was initially when I first read the card, that's how I was reading it. I was reading it as unspent energy, not just this turn, but throughout the entire game. And if it was throughout the entire game, then you could really do some unique shenanigans of dropping it down on 3, playing off curve 4 and 5, and boom, activate into the 6 cost you didn't draw. Like that kind of stuff.
Right. So
makes a
not
lot
only
more
is that
sense
like
to
really
the card.
strong, but also I think that's a really bad play pattern to ask people to engage with.
Why?
Okay. So the problem I see with this play pattern is largely one of tracking information across the course of the game. We already have enough problems with like my opponent played a Star-Lord. How much energy do they have? I genuinely don't even know. There's nothing for me to do that. Now I'm supposed to keep track of how much energy they've been skipping, which I actually have literally no way to track. There is no way for me to know that. I cannot know it. I can guess, but like, let's say there's an invisible woman down. I have no idea. There's a dark dimension. I have no idea. I cannot know what that card is actually doing. I think that's bad.
Is that a game mechanic or a UI problem?
I think it would be bad. Either or. But I think it would be bad also for another reason, which is that would introduce a lot of fail rate into the card, where you skip with like, oh, I'm going to go to 6, right? You draw the 6 on the final turn of the game. You have no targets for your card. Like, once you get past a certain threshold of energy skipped, you are unable to go back down.
But
it
3-5
can't work that way, right? But like, I missed my curve on turn 1 and turn 2, so now I just don't get to use my card because I built it to target a 2-drop or whatever, right? Like, I built my deck so I could copy this 2-cost effect, and then I missed my curve, and now my card doesn't work. Like, I think that's a really risky situation, honestly. I think it's a really complex and I would argue like pointless addition to the card relative to its complexity. Like, you're adding a bit of power to a card, and you're adding like way like this is a scale,
Yeah.
Power, complexity.
Yeah.
A little 6-7, a little bit of that. That's I like how you had to cut back to yourself for the facepalm there. I appreciate that. Like, as I saw the facepalm, and I was like, they weren't going to see that, but you're such a good producer that you remembered to cut back to yourself for it. The thing from It's Always Sunny, where it's like, I'm not going for laughs, I'm going for gasps. I'm not going for laughs. I'm going for groans. That's the intended reaction with most of the jokes I make. I want you to feel bad. I want you to feel bad about this.
I saw your Golden Snap Awards, Golden Cubes. I know your intro monologue. I saw you
feel bad.
I kind of do.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know what they could ever do to really make this truly be a worthwhile card. So I got to put it into like one of the worst cards they've released in a long time, honestly. Like, and that's sad because it's great art on the Vincenzo.
I feel like I mean, Vincenzo is the GOAT. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like they've made plenty of shit ass cards. Zombie Captain Marvel, Zombie Galacti before the buff. I feel like you just got to go back to December. You just got to go back to
Captain
December.
Marvel. I'll agree. I mean, now there's use cases with Phantom X, and that's it. But like, Zombie Galacti. I'm still on the train that when he came out, yes, he was bad, but there was maybe one or two people who already knew he was good, and one power is not the thing that changed. It just brought more attention to everyone.
No, Maverick
to him.
Maverick is what changed him.
Yeah, true.
But like, I don't know. I feel like I can list some dog shit. I feel like I'll be able to figure it out. You know, like give me. I'm gonna check a website right now, and I'm gonna scroll to the bottom, and I'm gonna list some bad Series 5 cards they've made in the last every so often. Frankie Ray, Ezekiel Sims.
There's use cases for
Infinity
Ezekiel.
Ultron. There are use cases, but like these are all pretty terrible cards. Weapon X Wolverine.
Yeah, that one I 100%.
You gonna fight me on Weapon X Wolverine?
I'm supporting that one. Are you kidding me? That one's just
Spider-Man.
crap.
Spider-Man Noir.
They fixed him ish.
I'm just saying. This is not like we're not plumbing new depths here. This is very much on the depth level that they've been to before.
I'm thinking of all of those, and I'm like, I would still probably play their release version of all of those over this.
Viv Vision 3-2.
I still would play that over this. Over Magus.
I don't know. Like, I think they are very much on the level. Can I just say huge shout out to Jim Hammond, Human Torch?
Yeah, making a huge comeback.
My guy. Turns out all we needed was this.
Oh yeah. Just a tad.
Unfortunately,
bit of
you're
support.
like, oh, I finally got an 11 power Jim Hammond, and then they Fin Fang Foom that lane, and your 11 power Jim Hammond feeds the dragon, and you're like, oh fuck. But still, it was cool.
It was. Real quick, I don't want to go into it too much this episode because I know we'll talk more about it next week, but Drax, who comes out next week, Avatar of Life. AKA better Captain Marvel.
Yes.
I think that going into this season, this might be the card that potentially takes down Ramp and brings Ramp out of the meta for a little while, for 2 or 3 weeks.
I think the card is pretty good. I'll be happy to see if it does something to this, Fin Fangy metagame over here. What I want to know is, how does it interact with 2 big guys being played on the final turn? Like if they play a big Hulk and a Fin Fang Foom, will it try to move to both locations?
It says
it does. I'm really into this card.
It says end of turn, so I'm assuming it's a single trigger, unless if you get it to trigger with like an invisible woman, where then
so would it only trigger on the first one?
No, I think if it was a situation where it played like, Man Spider and Fin Fang Foom, it'd move to 1, and if it chose the lower one first, then it has the potential, if the end of turn procs a second time from Invisible Woman first steps, then it would move to the second one.
That's not what I'm asking.
Oh.
That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is, my opponent plays Fin Fang Foom and Evo Hulk.
Okay.
The Evo Hulk lane is winnable if Drax goes there. The Fin Fang Foom lane is not. But they played it in that order. Will it move to the Evo Hulk lane?
Based on the wording of the text, I think it will, because it says specifically move to that card if you'd be winning its location.
Right. But it's that's why I'm asking about two targets. What I'm wondering is what if what happens is it looks at the Fin Fang, that's the card that triggered it.
Oh, I see
says,
what you're saying. Okay.
Oh, I can't win that lane, and then doesn't even think about moving to the Hulk lane. That's what I'm saying. I have no idea, but that interaction, I got to throw this one out there. I'm pretty sure that specific play pattern is going to be pretty important to this guy working. I think this guy's gonna be a pretty important piece of beating this deck if it works the way you want it to with this.
Yeah,
because it's just gonna be like a big guy that freely wins you locations. That's a really good thing to have as long as it actually works in that situation.
Basically, does it whiff because it chose wrong? Interesting. It's almost like that's important going into a meta where people have 14 energy to drop an ungodly amount of power down.
Is that a lot?
It's a tad. It's a tad bit. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Something to think about. Yeah, because he's not a card.
I can't wait to lose to that interaction. I'm going to be so mad. Be so fucking pissed. My 17 power Drax just doesn't move to the Hulk location. Okay, man.
Oh man.
I mean, so mad at that.
Hopefully, I'm gonna lean on the optimistic side and say it'll do what we need it to do. We'll find out. Tune in next week, folks.
Cool.
I don't know.
Drax is the only other card in the season I rated as high as Star-Lord, which, given as how good Star-Lord seems to be right now, I think that was probably that Star-Lord needs to be higher, and Drax is just a solid card. I had them both at 4. Star-Lord is pushing a 5. We'll see how he ends up like bearing out. I don't want to do, there are certain creators who, whenever something is good for a day, they're like, holy fucking shit. This is the craziest thing of all time. And I get it. That's the market.
Yeah.
But I do try to be a little bit more measured in my takes. So what I will say is he seems pretty strong right now. And there is every possibility that he could be a meta terror. Like there is every possibility of it. It's not locked in though. The future's never set in stone, but there is a significant chance that it could be like that, I think.
You do also realize that it's now been over a year since Glenn spoke out on this exact topic and said that it's more a matter of when rather than if on are we going to get a card that puts restriction on the amount of energy that you can have on a turn. And I wonder, my question is, I wonder if this becomes such a problem that we end up having another Ghost style situation where they find a dead card and just give it a new counter ability just to say, here, now you all have a counter that was accessible at Series 3.
I think they should do that. I think that's, first of all, not only do I think they should do that, I think they should do that to Ghost. I think they should just be like our bad mulligan and then just do that to Ghost. I don't know what the text is supposed to be, but Mobius for extra energy, yes, put that on Ghost right now. Do that this second. I fully believe that.
Poor Ghost. I mean, just like the leftovers of Marvel Snap, just like, oh, we need to fix this. Hey, Ghost. Just throw it on there.
Dude, like right now, go into the OTA and be like, ongoing players' maximum energy is 6.
Way to kill all your season pass sales, but yeah.
Okay, ongoing players' maximum energy is 8.
Maybe there's got to be a prettier way to say no more than 1 extra per turn. So you can get to 7 on 6. And that's it.
Here. Oh, dude, I got it. Dr. Octopus, players' maximum energy is 8.
Ooh.
But yeah, just do something like that.
There we go.
Just be like just do like Havoc, but for your opponent. just take Havoc and be like, actually, it's for your opponent now.
Yeah.
Like that's the card.
Yeah. You know what? It's a sad thing because I thought about that for like about a half a second during this podcast. I was like, why didn't we ever talk about Havoc being a potential counter? And then I realized, you know what? 1 energy out of 42 is like nothing. So like, you know, it's a drop in the bucket.
You want like a character with like absorption powers where it's like eat all the extra energy that your opponent has.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
You want like blob.
It's like a inverted sunspot.
Yeah. But like I think the easiest thing they could do is just be like ongoing players cannot have more than N energy, where N is like 7 or 8. And just put that on Ghost.
Maybe you could do some weird shenanigans with it that just is tied to the card's power. Players can't have more than this card's power.
That sounds like you've invented a card that's just going to make sure that nobody can play cards. I'm putting this in the negative zone. Suck my dick. I feel like what you've invented is the worst card of all time. You have invented the devil himself.
I'm thinking about it from like a flavor standpoint of how they would want this card to potentially actually interact, rather than writing a flat number into the bottom of the card. It seems more Marvel Snap-like to tie it to something that already has a number on the card. Like, then
or you could just say players can't have more than 1 bonus energy.
Yeah, like something along there with like a small minimum. Yeah, that I can get behind that, but I could see one of those other two rather more so than I could see them saying the most you can have is 8, and that's it. You know,
I think you'd have to justify that in flavor, and I can't think of another 8 joke other than Doc Ock. So I don't think until they do, you know, Doc Ock first steps, I don't think we're getting that guy.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I'm gonna switch gears here for one quick side topic, because it's one that I know we share as a pain point, but I did want to talk to you specifically about it because it kind of leads to a secondary conversation of something that I was talking about with someone from Second Dinner this week, where I want to talk briefly
That's
about.
Interesting. I was going to suggest, as you're going to have to edit this out. I was going to suggest when you said a shared pain point, I was going to be like Brady.
Oh no! Oh, not at all. No. Don't worry. We're keeping that in. I think I was talking to someone about why it's so frustrating knowing that there's a game mode that more than half of the entire player base just does not want to interact with. And that's Conquest, where so many players have zero want to interact with that game mode because it is the leftover child of Marvel Snap. And it has slowly just continued to deteriorate because it forces players to go through Silver Conquest, which is now all just code. It's, hey, I'm going to do an emote combination to let you know I'm just playing one game here to try to get a silver ticket. Go in for 8 cubes and that's it. And that is incredibly sad, I think is the fastest way to word that. Infinity Conquest feels like an absolute slog and is one of the most demoralizing things when you lose after winning 3 in a row or 4 in a row and you don't get your set objective with no kind of like way to kind of maybe make up for it. Gold tickets for Conquest as being rewards in the track just feel like the most useless thing that they could be giving us on the rewards track. It just feels like Conquest has continued to sour and there's nothing in the pipeline to address it in any possible way, shape, or form. So my question to you about Conquest Mode is, what can they do with this to salvage it, and what can they do with this to transform it into something else?
I reject your premise. I don't think they should salvage it. But you're asking the wrong guy. I haven't played Conquest in 2 years.
No,
why would I? Like,
but why? But why?
You ask a guy who's never played. Why? Because it sucks. The core premise of Marvel Snap is fast games. It betrays the core premise of Marvel Snap. How are you going to fix that? Well, you can't.
But you're the competitive guy. You're the tournaments guy. You're used to these long games.
I don't care. The whole point of Marvel Snap is that people aren't me. That's basically the point of this podcast. Like, and I came to Marvel Snap for fast games and quick, easy to understand gameplay. I didn't come to Marvel's. If I wanted to spend 20 minutes playing a game, I'd be playing those other games. That's sort of the fundamental thing about Conquest. If you want to do that in Marvel Snap, that's great. More power to you. But it is sort of just fundamentally going to be a thing that has less of an attraction. It's not a coincidence that every other limited time game mode is faster. That's not a coincidence.
It's
faster. You have more resources. They're building towards the core appeal of Marvel Snap rather than to satisfy. Like, bluntly, I think Conquest exists because they were like, we need a competitive game mode. We need a thing so people can do tournaments. And so they made Marvel Snap like Hearthstone. Turns out no one likes that. It's the kind of thing that they didn't need to do a whole game mode about. They just needed to make the technology available for friendly battles. They didn't need to make it like a whole thing. But if you're gonna spend the dev time on it, you gotta there's some guy in marketing or some guy in a product team or some guy whose job effectively is saying, how are we gonna make money from this? And you gotta have an answer for him.
Yeah.
You need an answer for that guy. And if you don't have an answer for that guy, well, that mode's not getting made. So if you want to use this, you better come up with a monetization plan to make it worth their time. And basically everything about Conquest is downstream of that.
So then why not just take the game mode and take the format of the towers, the tickets, right? Of needing to win 2 in a row to get a gold ticket, et cetera, get your thing. Why not just have it be single games? Get rid of the whole 10 cube routine and allow silver to be proving grounds. Just allow it to be the sandbox. And then
would people want that?
I think people would actually care about having a real chance of decking out their avatars rather than, because it's only 5 regular games rather than 5 Conquest games. Like, I would spend time in Conquest.
I do agree that it is
going for rewards. Like, I would be incentivized to play that if it was single target games, knowing I just had to go on a small win streak rather than a Conquest win streak, which literally takes 6 times longer to complete.
Did you just backdoor pitch unranked mode?
Maybe.
I think you did. I think you just backdoor pitched on rank mode. Like, I think that's what you circled around to. And don't get me wrong, it's a fine thing to do, but you have the question of how the hell do we make money from this? And I guess if you ticket it up, then people are going to be mad at unranked mode because it's like, oh, it's not actually unranked. I gotta do these tickets. Oh, I gotta pay to play unranked. You know, like I think it would go over pretty poorly with the community.
I think
not that many things don't. Oh my God.
I think the cosmetic piece of that shop and the variants and the rewards that come from it create enough incentive in single games to make people want to be reinterested in the game mode if they were single games. Because it's let's put it this way, it's such a deterring game mode that creators don't want to default to it when hot locations are live.
Yeah.
That's a sad fact.
Rather just not stream.
Yeah, people would rather just not play the game at all if you're a consumer, and content creators would rather just do something else, go touch grass, go do something that does not require me to slog through Conquest the entire time. Because it's that different of an experience. I'm just not okay with it. I'm okay with the cat on screen. I'm okay with all the affection that you are getting. Cute.
She's so fat now. We got a new kitten, and the kitten can't get anywhere that the cat can't get to. Mm-hmm. So whenever we feed the kitten, she's got to eat this like very nutrient dense kitten food. Right. Cat's stealing the kitten food. She's so fat now. She is obese. She used to be a little petite, tiny, small cat. She's so heavy now. It's crazy. We're gonna have to get her a treadmill. Once we get the cat food, once they're both eating normal cat food, it's gonna be so painful for her. But yeah, no, I think Conquest sucks. I think that every proposal I see for Conquest is always like, pay me more money to play this game mode, or make it less expensive to play this game mode. Or like, it's never about actually addressing the appeal of Conquest, because Conquest appeals pretty heavily to like a very specific type of player, which is a player who is like kind of good, but also has a little bit of anxiety about like playing in ranked and things like that. Yep. And so Conquest is like a really safe place for that player to exist. And I think that's like a lot of the people who play a lot of Conquest. It also appeals to like other like sort of niche types of guys where it's like, you know, I have no care for ranked at all. I enjoy spending time learning a deck, things of that nature. It's like a relatively lower stakes thing for them. Like there's plenty of different types of people who play Conquest, but largely they're all part of like sort of small subsections of the community. Yeah. And a lot of the appeal of playing the core game is not part of the Conquest experience for a variety of reasons. I wouldn't shut it down or anything. What I would do is probably what they've done, which is just like leave it up for the Conquest sickos. People that love that game mode really love it, and just let it ride. Like, just I wouldn't do shit with it. Like I don't know how easy it is to mess with, but I don't know that it's worth the time. You know what they did with alliances, right? They were like, I don't know about alliances. Let's take away some of the rewards. Clearly, that's a bad way to go about it, right? Like, yeah, okay. But like, I don't think they need to do that to Conquest. I don't think they need to do anything to Conquest. It's a feature that like probably isn't going to get any better. But you don't want to make it worse just for no reason. I feel like that's the lesson of the alliances thing.
Yeah, I mean, I see no reason to make it worse, but I do see a shell of something that could be okay, that has more of exactly what you're talking about, the time appeal of Marvel Snap and the quick games. So take the format of the rewards and the towers and getting the tickets and getting your way through a conquest for, let's be honest, it's an infinity border on an avatar. It is not anything monetizable in any way, shape, or form. It is exclusively you're playing here to get a shiny rainbow pattern on a hexagon. And that's what most people are playing for. It's way less about the shop, but I would start to care about the shop if I knew I had to do just single games in Conquest versus a full friendly battle, essentially, with a not so friendly person that I probably had to mute.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's wrong. I just think it's like you're not even really describing Conquest, you know? Like the people that enjoy Conquest, that's not their game mode anymore. You'd be taking something from them. It's like when people talk about reworking a card that is problematic, right? Like Jean Grey is a great example, or Professor X or whatever. The people that love those cards, they really love those cards. And they love them for their weirdness and their restrictiveness and things of that nature. And if you're like, okay, well, I don't think that's good for the game, I want to change that, they're going to be mad because you took away their toy that they liked.
But I love Ghost.
I think that's a good example, though. There were people who were mad about that. Even though Ghost is like the most never played card of all time, there were still people who were like, I can't believe they did that to my toy, because she was the only thing that did that. Because Marvel Snap is a game whose collection incentives are such that it's nice to just have things that do unique things. It's nice to just have that. That's a good feeling. I have a tool. It was in my arsenal. I was never going to use it, but it was there. It's my health potion at the end of the RPG. That feels good. That I know I'm safe. And I think taking that away from people is a harder sell than you think.
I don't know why. You just gave me this like weird card idea of like, imagine if Ghost had this ability to have multiple abilities. So it was like I was hybriding Merlin and like Snowguard in this weird way in my head where I'm like, you play Ghost and then you get 2 0-cost skills or 1-cost skills in your hand, and it changes the ongoing effect of what Ghost is. So you can
would crash the game so hard.
Probably.
I'm going to play that card on the same turn as Mysterio, and the game is going to actually blow up my computer. I'm going to play those those two 0-cost skills and Mysterio on the same turn, and Second Dinner is calling a drone strike to my house. Like I am dead the second that happens.
Oh man, it would absolutely would crash the game, but it'd be. It's just
Can they
a
even
unique
do
card.
that?
What?
Are there cards, like, do they even have the capability to change the text on a card? I know you're going to be like, oh, Absorbing Man, oh, Mystique. That's not what I mean. Like, a card that is on the board, can you change the text of that card? What?
Morph?
A card that is on the board.
Morphs on
not as part of its on reveal.
Uh-huh.
A card that is on the board. There is no card in the game that changes its text when it is on the board. Not one. I don't think they can do it.
Oh, I feel like we're going to get ripped apart in the comments with the right answer to this question.
No, dude, it's all on reveals. It is 100% on reveals. There is no card in the game, not a single one, that changes its text when it's on the board.
Herbie.
Shit.
Got him! Had to think about it, but I got there.
No card in the game, no ongoing card in the game that changes its text when it's on the board. Herbie actually is interesting. I don't know how they did that.
They treated it.
Does that only work because
Nico.
they're all kind of on reveals? Well, does that only work because they're all kind of on reveals? You know what I mean?
That's because the activate is constantly rotating between the 4 tokens behind Herbie.
Yeah. But like, there's none of them. None of them are like gain an ongoing ability.
None of Herbie's abilities?
I genuinely don't know if they can do that. Yeah, none of Herbie's abilities. I genuinely don't know if they can do that.
I feel like they could. Why not?
I wonder. Like, Herbie is the only card, actually. You're right, that it is the only card that does that.
It's like Nico, where it's happening in the hand the same way, where it's rotating between those different icons behind the card. And that's what it'll activate to on play versus activate. It's Herbie and Nico are
I
6
buy
of
that,
1.
but I think ongoings are specifically problematic for that. Especially if the ongoing has VFX. As far as I know, like basically 90% of crashes in this game are related to ongoing abilities, especially the ones with VFX.
Mm.
And I'd be pretty surprised if they were actually able to implement this. I really do think that.
Be an interesting experiment, at least, to find out.
Yeah, I wonder. Like, I think there's a reason they haven't done a card that has multiple ongoings. Because, like, I've had the idea of the same thing where it's like ongoing and then it's an activate that changes the ongoing. Like, it seems like a pretty compelling thing to do.
Yeah, because I don't think there's a way to change a card's ongoing text. I guess you could kind of say Super Scroll because it's absorbing the ability. So it is changing what the card's function is.
Yeah, maybe. But it wouldn't, but like there's nothing that I've never seen them be able to change the text of that. It's always as a function of the on reveal or becoming a different object.
Yeah, I think that's
Herbie's the only card.
I believe so. Somebody's going to figure out something else, but I think I'm like,
I don't know. I'd be pretty surprised. Like I honestly would be.
I don't know, but I just, my point is, rewinding back to finish the Conquest conversation. I do think that Conquest is one of those modes that because it was such a epic fail that I'm curious to see if Second Dinner ever attempts to revisit the game mode in any capacity outside of, let's just put the new rewards in it for the season. Because I feel like there's value in doing that, but I fear that the value of doing that means whatever they change it to gets more expensive game resource wise than whatever Conquest is currently committing to you outside of time, because time is money in this game. So if you're getting a smaller percentage of people that are engaging for X amount of time, yes, you might increase the amount of people for a shorter period of time. Does that create something beneficial for Second Dinner?
I have no idea. I'm like, one
tough.
of the only skills that I have is knowing when I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. This is one of those cases where it's like, I realize this is like an opinion show.
Yeah.
And like people are listening to hear my opinion on shit. I feel like I would not be living up to being a decent person if I just talked out of my ass about this.
Well, that's
I
fair.
genuinely feel that way. Like, I have no idea what their internal decision-making process is. I don't want to speak on it because I have so much disdain. This is the key thing to understand about me, is whenever I'm on the internet and I see someone being stupid, I look at them with disdain. I'm like, you're a moron. You're an idiot.
That's fair.
And I realize that I am also these things. But it means that when I am given an opportunity to take a similar stance to someone or a similar posture to someone that I've looked at and said, like, that you're a dumbass. This is a dumbass thing to think you know what the hell to talk about. I don't feel comfortable doing it. And I'm sure there are ways in which I am a hypocrite. I am, after all, a human being. You know? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to act like I'm a perfect guy. But I do try to not put myself in situations where you gotta have a take on everything.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
It's
if you ask me about, America's role in Afghanistan, I'm happy to talk about that. I've read books about that. I have done more research on that than I have on whether or not a short-term jump in players is meaningfully additional to the monetization model of Marvel Snap. I could not tell you that shit in a million years.
I mean it not even into the sense of monetization, but more into the sense of bringing appeal for players, increasing the amount of players that want to go back into Conquest Mode, giving us as the players a reason to confidently say that's something I want to do. But and how is that also good for them?
Is that good?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm curious about, what the time investment of a player is valued at versus number of players that are putting any time invested into. It's just something that because I try to constantly bring a different lens to what people like to gripe about. And, I get yelled at all the time for, like, oh, you're such a shill, this, that. No, I'm just trying to look at it from two different perspectives at the same time to better understand it. I know you call me a shill, and that's fine.
It's
fine. It's absolutely fine. You're allowed to. You're allowed to. But
people call me a shill too.
Yeah.
It's a spectrum. It's a shill spectrum,
I'll say this. Being a shill got us Golden Gauntlet, so I really don't care. So I pushed to make.
Oh my God, he admitted. Oh my God, he admitted. Clip it.
Clip it. Send it. Farm it. No, I do think that Conquest is something that just needs to be at least acknowledged by Second Dinner publicly in some capacity to say that it is what it is, or we're never addressing it.
I'll push back on that one. When has Second Dinner acknowledging something publicly ever actually helped? Genuinely name one time. I just don't think there is one. Every question it asks the team is like, is it intentional that you came to my house and shot my dog in the head? And then Glenn Jones is like, I would never do such a thing.
Yeah. Just give us a team answer.
So yeah, it's just like I don't know, man. I think that there are very few people who will accept, like, the people that are angry enough at them to be angry about this. I think for the most part are not reachable by communication in that way, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's sort of the pitfall they run into a lot of the time is they're interacting with like a particularly vitriolic percentage of the community. And those people, there aren't good answers to give them that aren't making more things free. So if you're not doing that, it's just going to be taken as meaningless words, manipulation, lies, deceit. You know, they're not getting what they want. Even if you have a good reason for it, what are you going to do? Tell them the reason? I told you about the answer Glenn gave. I have it screenshotted somewhere where he was talking about monetization models in a way that was so frank and honest. I worried it was business threatening. Like, you're not supposed to talk about those things with your audience. And I do think that like especially in Ask the Team, they treat you like a grown up in a way that I'm not sure the community deserves, frankly. I see a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's like, I think that people don't really appreciate the level of access we get, because I really can't think of a single time when an announcement Second Dinner made the community happy that wasn't giving people free stuff. I can't think of a single time when just communication to the community bore fruit in a meaningful way. I can't think of one. And whether that's an indictment on their communications or the community, I do think that is the state of play. Like,
both. Yeah.
If they don't announce anything, a bunch of people bombard them in Ask the Team and they're like, why didn't you announce this? If they do announce stuff and then that stuff gets delayed, a bunch of people bombard them and they say, I can't believe you announced this. You bait and switched us.
Yeah.
There's no winning position for them, I feel like.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, unfortunately, with this one. But I think that, I don't know. It was just something that was...
That's why people call me a shill, you know?
Yeah. It was just something that was on my mind when talking about like Conquest, and it's just this constant, like, it's there and I just don't interact with it. And I feel almost bad to a degree. So I wanted to talk through that mindset, another idea about Conquest in some way with someone else who also shares the same sentiment as I, and curious to see if you felt like it's worth even changing in any capacity, because I feel like it is something worth changing and you don't. And it's interesting to just hear that other perspective coming from someone who also shares that same disdain for Conquest Mode and featured locations. But that's probably a topic for another day. But I am impressed with you, though, for someone who was feeling under the weather. You made it almost an hour and a half today. So I did
really good. I'm about to go pass out.
Yeah, you're a hell of a trooper. So I would have a catchy outro.
I can feel the energy leaving my body.
Yeah, you need to go to sleep, dude. So let's just say goodbye. He needs to sleep, and we'll see y'all next week. Alrighty? And he's gone.